This was a major shocker to us because when we were trying to sell our house, inventory was at a historic low. And we thought we were going to have real estate agents coming out of the woodwork approaching us about wanting to list our home. And that couldn't have been further from the truth. 5 out of the 6 real estate agents that we reached out to schedule an appointment to discuss listing our property declined. So it was really interesting. Hi, welcome back. In our last video, I talked about how my husband and I spent the first 9 months of my husband's retirement renovating and improving our family home that we had been in for 28 years to sell. You saw the preparations that we did to our house. I included the befores and afters, the budget that we set out at the beginning, what we actually spent, how long it took, and you really got a sense of how much work it was on our part. And it was 9 full months of work. And even still, that wasn't the most dreaded part of the process. The most dreaded part of the process was hiring a real estate agent, signing a listing agreement, and actually pulling the trigger to sell our house. I was filled full of anxiety about that part of the process. And in this video, I'm going to show you how we selected a real estate agent, which is kind of a funny story. And then I'm going to show you what we agreed upon in terms of the services that our agent would provide and what they weren't going to provide. And then how we set our list price, our schedule for listing our house on the MLS, and how we were going to handle showings, and whether we were going to do an open house or not. And then lastly, I'll go into the preparation of the disclosure documents because we needed to have those ready to go by the time we listed. I hope this video is going to be really informative and helpful to you. I want to start by saying that we were really happy with our real estate agent. He was just the perfect fit for us, and he was very helpful with the process. But going into it, I was filled with anxiety about finding the right real estate agent. And I'm going to be honest with you, not super excited about paying the commissions for our type of house. We were looking at maybe, in round numbers, $35,000 in commissions between the seller's agent and a potential buyer's agent. And I know legally we don't have to pay for the buyer's agent, but it is the system that we're plopped down into. So, wow. And so that's a lot of money to us. I think I mentioned in my previous video that the contractors who worked on our basement for months and months and months, we only paid $36K for them. And in the end, we got a finished basement. So I really wanted something tangible for the money that we were spending with our real estate agent. I did want the best agent that we could get, and I did get some unexpected benefits of having a real estate agent that I'll talk about. So we were, the whole time we were working on the house, we were casually watching real estate agents on social media, looking to see if we could find an agent that really matched our expectations. And so we ran across a couple, though, that really set the bar low. And so I just want to put this up here for a good laugh, if nothing else. Okay, so check out this real estate agent. This is no joke. This is a snap of a video that was taken in the driveway of a client. And this guy was doing a home tour video for his client. Very boisterous, out in the driveway with the arms flailing, and I'm sure he thought he appealed to a younger demographic and maybe had a cool vibe to him. But to us, it just came off like a used car salesman, on vacation, wedging in a little work while he was rushing off to go to a barbecue and drink a beer. And it was very unprofessional in our minds. Those kind of stunts and that kind of casual attitude towards what's a very expensive business transaction really didn't sit well with us. At that point, we decided that we were not going to allow our real estate agent to do a video featuring themselves and touring our home. What we wanted to do is to actually have beautiful photos on our listing and also do a video tour of our house. Younger people could look at our listing and they could literally tour our house on their couch, in their living room. They could sit there and they could look at every aspect of our house, room by room. So you start with a dollhouse or a floor plan and you go room by room through the house. And we felt like that fit with the younger demographic. And my personal opinion about something like this is that either the clients requested a video tour or this particular agent does video tours as for marketing themselves. And, you know, it's a cheap way to get a video up for your client without to actually pay for a professional job. Sorry, just being honest. Okay, so you're not going to believe this, but these are actual photos from a listing that we saw while we were, you know, working on our house. And I get that the house is not updated and it's not in great condition, but it does have a beautiful yard and it did have a pool and a really nice backyard. So what does the real estate agent highlight? They highlight a bedroom that has a whole bunch of boxes. Now I understand a real estate agent is not going to move boxes for the photos, but to put the boxes as the focal point of the picture, and even if the homes owners provided these pictures, couldn't the agent have counseled them to leave a few of those images out of their photos? Like the dog on the bed. Good grief, there were pictures of the bedroom with the bed without the dog on there, and the agent uploaded the images with the dog on the bed. Can you believe that? I mean, I was gobsmacked, really just gobsmacked. And for the amount of money that we pay real estate agents, I would expect more professionalism. If I didn't know better, I'd think they were trying to sabotage their own client instead of featuring what was beneficial about the home. Now I know when buyers get there, they're going to see that the house is not in great condition, and in some ways you'd rather have a quick no than a long protracted no. But still, I mean, goodness gracious, I think this reflected so poorly on the agent, more so than even the homeowners. You know, I imagine that these homeowners, based on the decor of the house, were elderly maybe or older. And this to me was just inexcusable. Sorry. Now, it wasn't all bad, and there were some bright, shiny spots where we were able to find some real estate agents on YouTube and on social media that were quite professional and really presented themselves well. And in my mind, the one that was just heads and shoulders above all the rest was Audra Lambert in California. Now, she sells multi-million-dollar properties, so we're not in the same league. But her professionalism and her thoroughness and the things that she does for her clients is nothing short of admirable. Anyway, I listened to her YouTube videos the whole 9 months, sometimes all day long, every day. I listened to her advice on how to prepare your home for resale. And I think you should check that video out. I'm going to link it. She went through all of the things that would be inspected on a home inspection. We made sure we were good on that front. And I followed her advice on interviewing. In fact, she gave the advice to interview 3 real estate agents, and I reached out to 6. So I really took her advice to heart. I used her interview questions. And I also paid attention to what she said we should expect from our listing agent. I put together a package for the real estate agents with a full description of the house and a ton of really nicely done pictures. And then I put in the interview questions, and I put in the things we would like to talk about, like the schedule and how we would handle showings and open house and things like that, and sent that out to 6 real estate agents to see if they had interest in listing our house. And how we picked them was we tried to run a spectrum. I reached out to Audra Lambert in her referral program, and she sent me 2 names. And they happened to be 2 female agents that were young and very good on social media. So that was a big plus. We also reached out to 2 local agents, both male, and both had, decades of experience in real estate. And then we reached out to a high-end brokerage firm, and we picked 2 agents and one had a fantastic social media presence. In fact, my husband found him on social media and really, really liked the guy. And so I sent that package out about almost a full week before we wanted to schedule the interviews, and let them read through the packet and then get back to us. I did have 4 requests. One was that there would be no lockbox on the door, and that the listing agent would be on site to vet buyers and accompany all showings. Now that might not be customary, but that was something Audra Lambert did, and I really appreciated that concept. It just makes it much better if there's a person there, not us, that can answer questions about the home, basically. And then I requested professional photos and a video tour that I talked about. I had mixed sentiments about the effectiveness of an open house based on some input we had been given. And so I just basically left it up to the agent. If they wanted to do an open house, we would fully support that. And if that wasn't really part of what they felt would be valuable, then we would go that way too. And the only other request we had was that we would not accept contingent offers on the sale of a buyer's home. I just felt that would be a mistake, that we would go into escrow with a potential buyer who had a home to sell. And in one of Audra Lambert's videos, she talked about how one of her listings had 7 contingencies deep. So 7 homes had to be sold, or I think it was 6 or 7 homes before her client's home got sold. So once you accept a contingent offer based on the sale of a home, you don't know that they haven't accepted another contingency. And we did everything we could do to prep our house for sale. We did not want to be held hostage by what somebody else did or didn't do to prepare their house, or what their sales strategy was. And so we just decided if we could only get a contingent offer, then we would reevaluate and we would take it off the market. 5 out of the 6 real estate agents that we reached out to declined. So 2 of the referrals that we got felt that they were too far away, and they did not think that they would be willing or able to accompany all the buyers during the showings, which is one of the things that we asked for. The 2 from the high-end brokerage, one felt that she couldn't accompany the showings for the buyer, and the other one was too busy, had too many listings that they had to get through. And the 5th one is really interesting. The 5th one was going to be away the week we wanted to list, and just didn't feel it was right to take the listing, which I very much appreciated. And this guy went way above and beyond. He sent us a very thorough email discussing the market conditions and what he thought we should get for our house, which I really appreciated. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So he declined, but he declined in such a generous way. I mean, just a generous way. And then the 6th person we reached out was a localized expert, and he was very specialized to our neighborhood. And he was really our number 1 pick. I know people might not believe that, but he really was. We wanted to make sure that before we did our due diligence, we interviewed multiple agents, and we also wanted to meet him person to person and make sure that he was going to be professional and a good fit for our house. And luckily, he was very responsive. As soon as he got our email, he responded right away, which was a great sign. Not all of them did. And he took the first available interview slot, showed up, was super enthusiastic about our house and what we had done to it, and very, he just came full of knowledge about what the market conditions were, really localized to our neighborhood. So it worked out really well for us, but we were really shocked that most of the real estate agents declined to even come out for an interview and see the property. So in the market that we were in, where the inventory was so slow, I still can't wrap my mind around that. So where do you list at? There are two schools of thought. Most home sellers are afraid to list lower than what they, think that they can get, because if they get an offer and only one offer at that level, then they have to decide whether they're going to take it or not. Now, Audra and other real estate agents have this philosophy that if you come in under market value, that you'll get a lot more interest, a lot more traction on your property, and you'll potentially be in a multiple bid situation, and that can actually work for you. So we had no idea what to do. My husband and I went and we paid to get our own appraisal of our property. We chose to get a bank appraisal, meaning we reached out to an appraiser who typically did appraisals for a credit union that does a lot of mortgages, because we wanted a bank appraisal perspective, not a homeowner appraisal perspective, if that makes sense. We felt that would be a worst case assessment of the value of our house. And so when we put the email together to the listing agents, we included the appraisal that we got, which was $695K. Now, if you watched our previous video, you probably recall that we had a range of sales in our neighborhood that ranged from like $640 to $775 in inflation adjusted dollars. So this was a bit of a low appraisal as far as we were concerned. We asked the agents to come to the interview with a net sheet and also a recommended list price. We were concerned about the interest rates being high and buyers asking for, help with closing, concessions. We asked the agents how they felt about listing above the appraisal. The real estate agent that came back to us with a lot of data, which was really amazing, he included 5 comps, told us that he had lots of buyers looking, and that he felt would probably get $750K for our house, which was news to us and was fantastic if that could possibly be true. So with that in the back of our mind, when we started talking to our real estate agent, our real estate agent at this point, we had the appraisal for $695, and we had the input from the other real estate agent that if it became a multiple offer situation, which he thought it would, we could possibly get $750 for the house. Our real estate agent, he wasn't going to tell us what to do, and he had all the information, but I think he started out saying, well, why don't we go $699.9, which is above your appraisal, but it's it should help to get a lot of traction into the home and probably yield a multiple bid situation. And we thought about that overnight and decided, no, we were going to set the floor of the list price at the $710, based on what the other real estate agent had told us, that we would still get multiple offers and probably end up in the $750 range. We felt safe. So our agent was really cool about that. He felt that was eminently reasonable. Decided collectively that going to 1 week before going active, put out a coming soon. You've seen those in Zillow where a property's going to be coming soon. And I had taken beautiful pictures of the house with the iPhone. You know, and the advantage of doing that was I was able to capture like how pretty the kitchen was in the morning when the light was hitting it, and then how nice the family room looked in the evening with the direct sunlight, the south sunlight. And, you know, I knew that the professional photographer would do even better, and the video was going to be the bomb. But they were going to come at a certain day, a certain time. I didn't know what the weather would be like. It could be a gray, rainy day. And I had really nice pictures of the yard when the sun was shining and in the evening when the lights were on. And I knew they were going to come the professional would come at a single point in time, and I didn't know what the lighting conditions would be for the house overall. And so I think it was a great mixture. A lot of people in their coming soon, they just put a picture of the front of the house. And to me, that reads like the seller isn't ready. You know, like they want to sell, but I can imagine there's this frenzy in the background where they're getting their house ready to sell. You know, so what? It's coming soon. You don't really know what's coming. So we tried to show that the house was beautifully prepared, give them a chance to look through real photos of the whole house, the whole yard, and hopefully get some excitement going about the house and that it was coming soon. Give the buyers a chance to do some pre-work with their lenders and with their own buyers agents. And then a week later, we would go active with the professional photos, with the video, and actually open up showings. And I'll talk about the whole showing process in the next video, because that was really interesting. The advantage of the coming soon period was that our real estate agent was getting calls from other real estate agents and buyers agents saying, my clients really like the property. Is there any chance your client would be willing to take a pre-active offer? Or what is really important to your client? You know, is it price? Is it, date of settlement, things like that. And so we knew that there was some buzz. And that was great because it gave us some confidence that when we did go active, we were going to have, a number of showings. So that whole coming soon period, I think that worked out so much better than an open house. It only worked so much better than an open house because people could get so much information about the house before they scheduled their showing appointment with their buyer's agent. Anyway, so we did get, as soon as we opened up, we got requests for 47 showings in 4 days, which was crazy. So our agent charged us a discounted listing commission less than 2%. And still he provided those professional photos that we really wanted and the self-navigating video tour of our house, with the circles on the floor where a person can literally navigate their way through your home and take a video tour. And so that was just tremendous. And he did communicate extremely well throughout the whole process. Including during that coming soon period when there was so much buzz between real estate agents. And we actually found that process to be better than an open house. So we didn't do an open house. Now, we did not get the accompanied showings that we requested, and we understood that. I mean, I think there's a negotiation that happens, and for the discounted listing commission, we felt that was fair. So I'll talk about how my husband and I handled that showing process in the next video. Now this is really important, and that's the disclosure process. I spent months working on disclosures. When you're in a house for 28 years, honestly, you rack your brains to remember everything that happened. And I did. I went through receipts, repairs and home improvements that we had done over the years and tried to figure out what we had done, when we had done it, why we had done it. And I put a timeline together of the history of the house from the very, very beginning to the very, very end, the very best I could. Our philosophy was disclose absolutely everything you can. We sold as is, but we had an addendum document. Yes, we're selling it as is, but here's some additional information for you. If we forgot something, it's as is. And one of the complicating factors of our house was that our house was built by Ryan Homes. And during the process of building the house, they backed a backhoe into the foundation and cracked the foundation. And they had repaired it, and it was under warranty, and all of that's in the disclosure document. And the basement foundation was, fixed. It was reviewed by a professional engineer. We had them come back 3 years later and do a whole round of, investigation to just make sure it was good. And we had no issues with the basement, no movement of the walls, no leakage, of seepage of water or anything like that. So it was well repaired and it was done right. Cosmetically, it looked, like something had happened and it was wrong. But we also wanted to finish the basement for the reasons I talk about in the home improvements, the prep for sale and the home improvements that we did. We wanted to add the square footage. We wanted to appeal to a younger buyer by having a finished basement. But we didn't want the buyer to think we were trying to hide anything. So I took a video camera and did a very thorough video documentation of the status of the basement walls. We provided them with the engineering reports attached to the disclosure. Those videos were embedded in the disclosure document. I think it was good karma. I wish Ryan Homes actually had treated us. We were a very young couple with a 2-year-old baby. And we were doing our final pre-settlement walkthrough, and this bombshell was dropped on us hours before settlement. And we had a lot of anxiety about that all those years. And so we didn't want to do that to our buyers. I envisioned these are like kids to me, They're a young couple. I think they have a small child and our baby. And, we wanted to treat them the way that we wish we had been treated, which was to really know everything in a timely manner. And so the disclosures were all provided to any offerer. Before they submitted the offer, they were provided all the disclosures. So when they submitted the offer, it was with full knowledge of all the disclosure items. And I really feel that was the right thing to do. And we wanted to be able to get through this whole process with our integrity and our soul intact, if you know what I mean. So the whole disclosure process doesn't have to be all negative. So one of the things that I did was, as I uncovered an issue that had been repaired, I talked about how we repaired that in a way that it was better than had that issue not occurred. So let me give an example. So we had a leak above the bump out over our kitchen ceiling. And when we repaired that, we did a number of things. We replaced windows that were above the kitchen with higher grade windows. We increased the flashing. We put in an approved jade channel. And we took the opportunity before we replaced the drywall to actually put in recessed lights, which was an upgrade. So we were able to say, yes, we had that issue, but look how we responded, and the house is actually better for having had that issue than it was before. And we were able to do that in a number of areas. And so you can use the disclosure documents to your benefit to highlight how you handled the house and how well maintained it's been all the years. It's just an idea. So here we sit with a list price that's only $10,000 above our break-even point to get back the money that we spent on our home to prep it for the resale. And if you want, you can see the math in the video that's the thumbnail that's linked up here. So we're feeling nervous and we're worried, but given the buzz during the coming soon period and the feedback we got from the real estate agent who could not take our listing, we were somewhat cautiously optimistic. So even if our situations are different, and every situation is, when we were going through the process, I really wished that I had seen more stories from other sellers and their experience. You can always find something in someone else's experience, even if it is different situations, that's valuable to you. So I really hope that this video, that there's at least a nugget in here somewhere that's helpful to you. The next video will be very short, and I'll talk about how my husband and I handled 47 showings in 4 days of our house without having a real estate agent sitting on the property, kind of watching all that chaos that was going on. So I'll talk about that. It was interesting. And in the video after that, though, I will actually provide all the offers that we received, how we read them, and how we picked one. And spoiler alert, as I said before, I think, we did not pick the lowest bidder. So buyers out there, if you're out there watching this video, this might be interesting to you to see how a seller reads and selects an offer. Please subscribe so that you'll be able to see that video as soon as it comes out. I hope to see you there.